Hi, Steve Summers and Robby Bodystun, freeduck.com. Robby, we're here to talk about recruiting, so what's going on?
Well, week before spring game, actually some pretty positive news in the last week for Oregon. Oregon picked up its second commitment. Our own Craig Loper had the scoop on it. Tyrell Crosby, an offensive tackle out of Henderson, Nevada, about 6'4", 300 pounds. He was heavy on Oregon very early on. He had Oregon in his top two almost, it seemed, immediately as soon as the new recruiting period started. And then from the report Craig put together, it just sounds like he didn't want to wait. He wanted, if he was going to pick Oregon, he said he loved Oregon. He wanted to become more independent, move farther away from home, something one of the other schools he's considering, Utah, that wouldn't have provided him with as much of an independence just from distance. And he wanted to take the time to start learning Oregon schemes now. So that's a big positive for Oregon. If he is able to kind of get into a training program that will allow him to kind of get a bit of a head start, that'll be a big get for them, especially heading into next season. He's definitely got a great skill set, and definitely something Oregon's going to desire in the future.
Anybody else that's close to committing?
Well, we do know that there are a couple of visitors this week. One's a kid that we did talk about. We've talked about a lot. One is a kid we haven't really talked about. So the kid we have talked about, McGraw, River Ridge, Louisiana, defensive back. Mike Coppage had the report on that. According to him, they rolled out the red carpet for him. You got to see the new football, the new operations building going up. I got to talk with several of the coaches, several of the players. Specifically, he was impressed with Dior Mathis and Ifo Ekpre-Olumu, who, if you remember last year when John Boyette went down, he was part of that core of young defensive backs that stepped up and kept Oregon fine in their secondary. After the visit, McGraw said that Oregon's probably in his top 2 or 3, and with his list growing, he's close to 40 offers now. That's a huge thing and a very positive sign for Oregon, especially since he told me back in February Oregon was one of the schools that he was very interested in looking at, even though they were so far away. To get them, especially as we've seen that presence growing in the Southeast, we keep talking about it. He's one of those players that Oregon could pick out of the Southeast to bring up to, and become a Duck. The other kid that is visiting this weekend, Christian McCaffrey, if the last name sounds familiar, he's the son of Ed McCaffrey, former NFL wide receiver for, most notably, in my opinion, the Denver Broncos, but he's a Colorado kid, some view as the top prospect out of Colorado. Very, very fast kid, especially he's got great speed once he hits the corner on the outside. If you get a chance to watch his tape, go do it. Also has some flashes of great receiver skills in the slot. We know Oregon really likes to run those wheel routes and dump off passes with running backs, and this is a kid that, in my opinion, looking at how he plays, his style of play would fit that perfectly. We're going to be hearing from him possibly today or tomorrow, seeing how the visit went. He's visiting schools in clusters right now. He's visiting Oregon and Washington this weekend, so hopefully that visit went productive for him. I'm sure Oregon fans would love to see a kid like him, especially given the amount of running backs Oregon's been able to turn into NFL prospects in recent years. That's something that McCaffrey did tell me that he was very intrigued by. So all in all, that's what's going on right now with the visits.
Now, yesterday you had a report about a local player from Jesuit High School.
Yeah, Joey Alfieri, another kid that is viewed as a top prospect. Some view him as the top prospect in the state of Oregon. His teammate Henry Mondu, who we talked about a couple weeks ago, he already holds an offer from Oregon. Oregon has not yet offered Alfieri. Alfieri said that they had been interested, they had been talking, or there had been some contact back and forth. It's kind of cooled as of late, but he said being an in-state kid, he does not want to pass up that opportunity to at least give Oregon the chance and check that out. He said if Oregon were to kind of reopen the contact and be a little bit more aggressive towards him, he would love to take a visit out there, love to check out and see what Oregon's about. Both his parents went to Oregon State, so there is a link of that in-state, kind of staying in-state, and it's going to be up to Oregon whether or not, we know that they're becoming kind of, I don't know if pickier is the right word, but they know they need athletes, not necessarily based on just ratings. They need someone who's going to fit their system, and so if they find ways for Alfieri that he'll excel in their system, I'm sure an offer would be coming. We saw last year they came in pretty late with Johnny Reagan towards the end of the recruiting cycle in terms of just being more aggressive with him, trying to get him. Maybe Alfieri is a case like that. We don't know. We'll just have to see as time goes on.
Well, that sure is a lot to look forward to. anything upcoming for anybody that's on the radar?
Well, I did talk to a top tight end prospect out of Arizona and Trevor Would this week. He said that Oregon's definitely a school that intrigues him based on the fact that of what they've done with their tight ends in recent years. David Paulson, Ed Dixon, those types of players. Would fit. I would say a more traditional type of tight end mold, but he's able to go up, get the ball. He says he can read the field very well. That's one of his underrated attributes out there on the field. And he does look like he has a little bit of David Paulson in him if you watch his film. Definitely a kid to keep on your radar. He's a top tight end prospect. We'll see what happens, especially when Oregon starts further evaluating those types of positions on down the road. We know that there's still a lot of evaluation to keep going as the spring moves on, and with the spring game coming up, we should have more news in the coming week about who Oregon's going to be trying to get out there, who might be taking that potential visit to check out the spring game and see how Oregon operates on the field in an actual game atmosphere.
Well, as spring game is a week from actually a week from yesterday, so it'll be on the 27th. You and I, plus Eric Scopel and Rich Cabell, our photographer, will be at the spring game, so probably we'll have some more reports. No doubt we'll have some more reports. Oh, yeah. And so until then, this is Steve Summers and Robby Bodystun for educ.com.